let me tell you now about the man who's going to host this evening, CBC Radio's Brent Bambury. Brent has had a long career at CBC. In fact, many moons ago, we were co-hosts of a show called Midday back in the 90s when he was 6. Brent is currently the host of Day 6, the National Canadian Current Affairs show. He also writes a column for the National Post. Do you really? Yeah. That is so not like you. Anyway, he writes a column for the National Post where he collects and shares 6 of the oddest and most interesting news items for the week. Please welcome my pal, Brent Bambury.
How many people here have seen Roberto Devereux already? So the entire front row and this side. How many people intend to see this opera? Okay, I hope that's everybody else in the audience tonight. You need to see this production. On a day like today, I think it's worth reminding all of us that there are aspects of Toronto that just get better and better. The Canadian Opera Company is one of those. We've had 2 productions so far in this part of the season. Each one of them has been remarkable. First Hercules, and now Roberto Devereux. Each one of them is remarkable for very different reasons, and each one of them worth seeing. Now Hercules has closed. There are 5 performances left for Roberto Devereux, and it is a fantastic production. It's witty, it's beautiful, it's exciting. William Shakespeare makes an appearance. And it's a fantastic cast. It's a uniformly great cast. But that would mean nothing if the performance of Elizabeth wasn't spectacular. And the performance in this case is amazing. It's a performance that people will talk about for years to come. And we have with us tonight as our guest the singer, the performer of that role. She has performed in all of the great houses now in North America and Europe, and this is not her first appearance at the Canadian Opera Company, but it is definitely one that people will remember for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage Sondra Radvanovsky.
Wow. Hello. Thank you. I'm on the far side?
On the far side is fine,
okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Wow. That's quite an intro, man. You mean I have to do well in the next 5 shows too now?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, okay.
You look so much more glamorous than you do in the curtain call for Roberto Devereux.
I actually had some of my friends come up to me and say, "That was you?" Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
What is it that you're wearing on your head during that part of the performance?
Well, for the whole show, actually, as you all probably know about Queen Elizabeth, she had a very far back hairline. And I don't. So they put something called a bald cap on my head. And I wear it for the whole show because I don't want to give too much away, but the opera starts with me old, and then I go back to being younger, and then I progress to being old again. So they use something called toupee tape to attach the wigs to my bald cap, and it's slightly treacherous. I mean, it's not a fun thing having your hair pulled out, and yeah.
But you're not bald. You still have these sort of wisps of hair coming out of your head. Isn't that how it works?
Something like that. I try not to look in the mirror because I say to my husband, "This is going to be me in 30 years." So this is what you have to look forward to, you know. No, it's weird because I'm still me. I'm still young me, and I look in the mirror and go, "Oh, God."
Well, it is not what they call a hag role.
No.
This is a very an intense role, and I want to talk about it in a moment. Sure. But first, I want to go. When you were 11 years old, you saw a production of Tosca.
Yes.
On public television.
Yes.
What do you remember about that day?
Placido Domingo. I mean, that was the whole thing. Placido Domingo. Who is this person? I was transfixed. I said to my mother, "I want to do that," and she said, "Yeah, okay, honey." I said, "No, I want to do that," and. I mean, that's really all I remember was that gut feeling, that feeling of, wow, this is amazing. and how can I get more of that? You know, it's like a drug. And I was hooked at 11 years old. And I mean, I grew up with music too, with church music, listening to Karen Carpenter, you know, things like in the same vein, but this was my first true operatic experience.
So obviously, since that time, Placido Domingo has become a champion of you
Yes.
and a friend of yours.
Yes?
Did you ever tell him about what it was like for you to see him
Oh,
on television?
he hates when I tell this story. He says, Sondra, how old were you? Yeah, he said, don't tell that story anymore. I feel old. But the funny thing is, it really came around full circle. This last year, I was in Los Angeles, and I sang Tosca with Placido conducting. How surreal was that? Yeah, and I told him that story. That was the first thing. I get all weepy. I told him that story actually that night. Said, you know, Placido, it was you in this opera that has me standing here right now with you. And that's when he said, I feel old. Yeah.
But it's great. It shows you how accessible opera can be if people have access to it.
Absolutely, and opera doesn't have to be this snotty, hoity-toity art form. Opera, as we were talking about, opera is a visceral response. And even if you know nothing about singing or the orchestra or the play, one, I think, gets an automatic response when you hear good singing or bad singing in that sense. But it does something to you, to your core, and you react to it. And that's my job, is to transport everyone that comes, to move you in one way or another, and have you involved in my story that I'm telling.
How many times have you sung Tosca? Do you know offhand?
You know, it sounds like I've done it a lot, but it was a role that I waited to sing. Because Tosca is a notorious voice wrecker, because the orchestration's really loud, and so you have to sing really loud.
But that's never really been a problem for you, has it, to sing loud?
My mother said I was born with my mouth open, and I've never shut it, so...
I didn't mean that. I meant...
No, it's true. And you know, I was telling today, I did actually a little concert at 96.3 before this today, and I was telling people how I sang in choir when I was in college, and I was always the one they said, you, shh. just move your mouth, don't sing, just move your mouth. But no, Tosca's a role that I only started when I was 35. Where's my husband? 35? Yeah, so, you know, last year. No, I've been doing it a lot recently, yeah, and I really, really enjoy singing it.
So when did you realize that you had the gifts that you needed in order to become a singer, in order to actually go for it?
You know, that's a very good question. You know, there's a point where you realize I really want to do this, but then there's a point when you think, I can do this, and I can make a career in that. Probably around 16 or 17, when I started winning a lot of competitions. My voice developed very early for an opera singer, probably because I started taking voice lessons so early at 11 years old. And I was criticized highly at 11 years old. My mother was, especially, because, oh, you know, you don't want to do that to your daughter. She's not ready for that. But I asked for it, and I practiced all the time, and it was my passion. And I knew at 11 years old that that was my gift. I was given a gift, and I knew in some fashion I was going to be in music, and it was going to be involved in my life. But at 16 was when I really thought, hey, I have a shot at this. And when I went to college, I was a flute major as well. I know, and can you believe this? I literally flipped a coin and said, will I be a flute major in college, or will I be a voice major? Thank God it was a double-sided coin.
Exactly, it was a good coin.
Yeah, and it just, oh, singing, okay, great.
But when you're in university, you're at UCLA,
Yeah.
and you were studying theater as well.
As well, yes.
You knew, I mean, was that also an option? Did you think maybe I'll just be an actor?
I did, you know, because when you're young, you want to try, you want to dabble in everything. And I really loved theater, and I loved acting, and that the whole idea of becoming someone else was very enticing to me as a child. It make believe, pretending, all of that. And then to add the musical aspect to it, I thought, wow, okay, opera, that's it. But it was the best thing I could do was to learn about acting as well. And I had no idea at that point how beneficial it would be in the years. Not just the acting aspect, but learning about lighting, learning about how to find your light on stage, because we always like to look good in light. And learning about period costumes, learning about makeup, how to make yourself look old, how to act like an old person or whatever. And it was such invaluable information.
And in this production, we get to see you go through those stages as well.
Yeah.
So when you were studying voice, what came easily to you, and what did you feel you had to work on when you were a student? What were the parts that you thought, oh, this is something that's not a problem for me, and the parts that were more difficult for you?
Yeah. Well, I started out, I don't know how much all of you are educated in singing and all that. I started out as a lower voice type than I am now. I started out as a mezzo-soprano when I was singing around 14, 15, singing Mozart and, Cherubino. And I remember saying to my mom, I just don't look like a boy. No, not for me. But the voice developed naturally. So a certain part of the voice will come in later than other parts of the voice, because it's how, when boys go through losing their voice or it changes, it happens naturally. So I had the bottom of my voice was very strong. So that part, the dramatic part, always came very easily to me. The part that was always a problem was all these high notes when I was younger, and that really was an issue for me, trying to reach those high notes. And I remember saying to my voice teacher, when am I going to get those high notes? It'll come, it'll come. And now, that's the easy part, and going down on the bottom is a little bit more. So, it's always a trade-off. It's a balancing act. But for me, always singing these long lines was something that came very easily to me. Singing those sad songs, all those, yeah, I like that. Happy, not for me. I am not I'm a happy person, but I don't do funny. I just don't do funny.
When you were in university, you noticed that something was not right with your vocal cords.
It was probably a bit past university, yeah.
What happened?
When I was a child, I was born with pneumonia, and the doctor seems to think, you never know for sure, it might have been other reasons, but that when they intubate you, when they put the tube down, that they think that they may have nicked one of my vocal cords. So it developed like a little scar, and the scar got bigger and bigger the more I sang. And the more I sang, the more hoarse I got. I would lose my voice very easily. So we decided, how old was I? 33 years old. I had vocal surgery. And this, in my field, vocal surgery is a big no-no. No one talks about it. It's like a ballet dancer saying, that they tore their tendon or something and they had surgery. And no one talks about it because they think that it's related to a bad technique. And in many people, it actually isn't. It just happened to be the way it was. So midway through my career, I did this very risky surgery, which a lot of people can lose their voice because they go and they shave something off of your vocal cords, which vocal cords are very, very small. But the doctor said, 99.9% sure you're going to be fine. I said, but what about the 0.1%? Needless to say, I'm here today, so it worked, and it made my voice even better.
But you kept it secret, didn't you?
For many years, because of
the
that.
stigma.
Because of the stigma. It's a terrible thing. And I think, I pride myself in saying I'm one of the first people that came out and said, I had vocal surgery. But now a lot more people have the courage to say, hey, I did it too, and I did it too. And you know what? It's an injury. I'm a sports person. What I do is very physical. My body is my instrument, like a football player. If he tears a rotator cuff, hey, he tore a rotator cuff. He's going in for surgery.
But you have more injuries than anybody, because I have a list of them here.
Oh, no, I didn't know this was like roast Sondra today. Yeah, I am very accident prone. Yeah, my husband will vouch for that.
In 2009, you got mugged outside a drugstore in San Francisco.
Yes.
What happened there?
Well, we won't say what type of person this was, but it was not in a nice area. And he reached for my purse, which had my passport in it, and darn it, I was not giving it up. I lived in New York at that point, and so, you know, the New Yorker in me came out, and I pushed him. And
You pushed the mugger.
yeah, I did. And he pushed back. And I kind of fell, and as I fell, I twisted my ankle.
And you were on stage at that time. I mean, you were doing a production, right?
Yeah. I was doing Trovatore. Yeah, and I went to the doctor, and unfortunately, I was there all alone. My husband was here in Toronto, and I laid on the ground for a good 5 minutes, and people walked basically right over me.
Oh my God.
And you think, wow, human nature. But I understand, you know, they didn't want to be involved in all of it. So I limped home and went to the doctor, and I tore a ligament in my right ankle.
Did you have a cast?
Well, at the moment, no, because I had a show the next day, and then the day after that, I had to fly to Chicago. But that show the next day, something happened too.
That was, you were on stage in Trovatore.
Yeah, with my bad right ankle.
What happened then?
The tenor might have fallen on my other foot. And he's not small. No, so I kept on telling him, be careful of my right ankle. Be careful of my right ankle. Boom, and I'm barefoot. In the very last moment, I'm dying, and he falls to his knees on my left foot. And he breaks my two little toes.
Did you hear them crack?
Well, I heard myself scream, yeah. And I'm supposed to be dying, like. And the next day, I had to get on a plane and fly to Chicago with two broken toes on my left foot, a torn ligament in my right ankle, and I was in the center seat of a 3-seat section. And it was a sold-out flight. Like, please don't hurt my leg. Please don't hurt my leg. Yeah.
But in 2004, in Don Carlo,
oh gosh,
didn't Ferruccio Furlanetto break your arm?
He did. Oh, he didn't mean it though. Well, we were doing Don Carlo, and it's the scene where he discovers, you know, that I'm kind of still in love with Don Carlo, and so he throws me, and it's a stage throw, right? It's supposed to be a stage throw, so it's kind of, well, his foot might have been on the back of my train, so I fall, and you know, there's a natural progression. There's an arc in falling, and I was going through it, and then I hit a certain point, and I went boom onto my arm. And my husband was in the audience, and there was this collective, because you could hear it go, yeah, it was fun. And then after that, I'm singing, you know, this, I'm supposed to be crying, and Ferruccio said, oh, that was so moving. I said, you broke my arm! Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
He's, now, stay away from him because he's in town now.
I know, and I have to go say hi to him.
He's in Toronto for Don Quixote, which opens...
and he's fabulous. Go see it.
Yeah, it opens a week from
Shameless
tomorrow, but you admire him as an actor, and I want to talk about this idea of singers as actors now, because a lot of people, there's a tradition that they're not necessarily great actors.
Right.
He inspires you. Why is that?
He does. Because he's willing to go that extra 10, 15, 20%. He really invests everything, not just vocally, because it's really one of the most beautiful voices I've ever sang with, work with. He's a wonderful colleague, too. He's a wonderful person, besides breaking my arm, but, you know. But he is just, you can't help watching him. I mean, there'll be 10 other people on stage, and you only see Ferruccio because he's so invested in what he does. He is there 100%, and there's so few singers, opera singers, that I feel like that about him. Bryn Terfel. I mean, any opportunity I have to work with either of them, absolutely. Because for me, it's very fulfilling to work with someone like that because you have someone to play with on stage. It's like a banter back and forth, and it's a joy for me.
Let's talk about Roberto Devereux. This is a fantastic production. There's a terrific director. Obviously, an amazing Elizabeth. This stuff about the Virgin Queen, that's all nonsense, right?
Yeah, come on. Oh, seriously, she's the queen. She could have anybody she wanted,
Right.
you know? She's just a virgin queen because she didn't have a child and she wasn't married. But virgin queen? I don't think so. I don't play it that way, yeah.
So in this production, is there the decision to show Elizabeth at different stages in her life and to try and understand her psychologically, that seems to me to be, give it a level of complexity to a character that might not necessarily have that.
Yes.
Does that help you as a performer?
Yes, it becomes a more complete. I like roles that are very complete, characters that are very complete, that you get to see many sides of them, and there's not many characters. Tosca, for instance, I find very interesting because you see the vulnerable side of her and the girl in love, but then the strong girl who can actually kill Scarpia. And I find with this production especially, with the overture being staged, and that is me in the overture. You might not know it, but it is actually me with this lovely wig on. But it shows the progression of her life. Yeah. And that's why I like doing all three of them in a way, because now I know this is the third of the Tudor trilogy, the Three Queens. And
The three Donizetti operas.
Three Donizetti operas, and this is now the third one for me. So I've done Anne Boleyn, I've done Mary Stuart, and now I've done Queen Elizabeth. And I feel like I know a little bit more about the characters because I know the progression of the British history. And yeah, she's a fascinating lady.
And I think the production invites us to see her as a complex character right from the beginning. The fact that you've done now all three of these roles, did you know at some point that this would be offered to you, or were you hoping that this would be offered to you? Is it something you set out to do? Because this is unusual that someone gets a chance to do all three of those queens.
It was actually my coach, my voice coach, who said, you know, Sondra, I think you can do all three of these. And I said, I think you're smoking crack. Really, I mean, I sing Tosca. I do Verdi. I don't do all those black notes, all that fast stuff. I don't do that. He said, oh, yes, you do, and you'll do it really well. And I said, okay, I trust my coach. I've been with him 18, 19 years now, and he knows my voice better than I do, which is scary. So he suggested that I look at some of the more dramatic bel canto roles, the Donizetti, Bellini. So I started out with Lucrezia Borgia, who is also a little cuckoo, and then proceeded to do Norma. And now I've done the Anna Bolena and the Maria Stuarda, and now this.
Of the three queens, is Elizabeth the most difficult, the most challenging?
By far. Yeah. Not just dramatically, but vocally. This is a very challenging role because she's angry all the time. Poor lady, I feel bad for her. It's also a challenge doing all three of these because these historically were people that lived. Yes. So I can't make it up. We know the story of Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII. We know the story of Mary, Queen of Scots, and how she died, how Queen Elizabeth and the rivalry. We know about Queen Elizabeth and her life and that she had no option. And that's really what we try to show in this production, is that Queen Elizabeth had no choice. She had to become queen. Was she going to say no? You know? And I think towards the end of her life, I've read a lot about her, and in her life, she was just tired of it. She was tired of the pomp and circumstance, and she died standing up. You know, she didn't eat, she didn't go to the bathroom, she just stood, and that's how she was done. And that's what we try to show in this production, is the progression of how royalty wore her down. And
you get that through your acting, but the way that this opera is composed, the singing required of the role is enormously demanding at the end of the opera. So you are playing a character who's losing her strength, or who's aging through the process of her office, but you're singing a role that just takes all of your power, that requires all of your power. And when I saw you perform, which was Tuesday night, it seemed to me like you were feeding on that. Sure. You were feeling the demand of the production, and rising to it.
I hope so. Yeah. It's for me, I love challenges, and this is pretty much one of the ultimate challenges that I've done, because physically it's very demanding for me. When those of you who haven't seen it will see that it requires me to hunch over in a corset on a stage that you can't see it. Everybody says to me, "Oh, I didn't know the stage was raked," but it's quite a steep rake. So I'm leaning over, and at the end of the night, my back is killing me, you know. But I like a challenge, and also it's one thing to play an old person, but I can't sing like an old person, you know, and to differentiate between the two, but then to wed the two is really, it took me quite a while with the rehearsal process, and I only feel like I got there opening night, where the two kind of, well, it's a trial and error, you know, you try one thing and, oh, that didn't work, well, let's try this way, let's try that way, and yeah.
And the demands of the singing at the end of the opera, when you know that you're going to be doing that much technical singing at the end of the opera, how do you preserve the energy throughout the opera so that you can meet that demand to deliver the final scenes?
Well, I have to say, in comparison to some of the other operas I sing, like Norma, quite frankly, Norma is twice as long of a sing for me as this. So singing this, in a way, is a walk in the park.
So if Norma's a 10, then...
Norma's a 10, this is probably about a 6.
Really? Oh.
For length, because it's not a long night for me. When those of you have seen it, there's many scenes that I'm not in. And there's duets with Sara and Nottingham, and Sara and Roberto Devereux, and Nottingham. You know, I just get the last scene. Which is
towering.
It's pretty fun, yeah. But but technically it's not as long as many other roles. Anna Bolena is a very long evening for me too.
And you're performing all 3 of these operas at the Met next year?
15, 16.
How far in advance are you booked? If someone wanted to contract you tonight for an opera, what year would it take place in?
18, 19.
So
and that's filling up pretty quickly.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But, you know, people always say, wow, that's crazy. But I know when I'm taking my vacations. I know when I'm getting my teeth cleaned. I know when I'm getting my hair done. It's all about what's normal for a person. And this is normal for me. I've lived my whole adult life like this. So I love it. I really do.
Let's talk a bit about Norma, because you sang Norma at the Met last fall, and the New York Times said that you were ringing and powerful, nuanced, arresting, striking, vigorous. That's a rave, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I would say that's...
I paid him.
But when you take on a role that's as challenging as Norma, that's a 10.
Yeah. And it's a 15, actually. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15. And
you're
especially
doing it at the Met.
Well, that makes it the 15. Yeah.
So, right. So you have all of these fantastic performances that came before you, all of these Normas, the ghosts of all the Normas standing on stage. Yeah. What do you owe those performances when you take on the role?
Well, it's really difficult, because of all the soprano roles in the soprano repertoire that I sing, Norma is always, the golden role. And, oh, Maria Callas sang it, or Caballé sang it. Well, yeah, but Radvanovsky singing it now, and they're dead. Well, Caballé's not dead, sorry. Callas is dead. And it's really hard to shake those ghosts, because people always compare you to someone else, especially in that role. Right. Oh, well, Caballé did, the runs better, or Callas was more dramatically interesting, or whatever. And, I'm just trying to make it through the opera, and, without falling, which I did in that one too, by the way. Thank you. On the radio
break
broadcast.
Anything, though.
Well, I was quite black and blue, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I found. But it gives you impetus to be even better, to know that the greats, the greatest greats, stood on that stage and sang that role, and you're there now, and you either sink or you swim. And I will tell you, and you walk out, and to start with Costa Diva, Yeah, and I was really shaking in my boots. I got to tell you, the first night, I haven't been that nervous in a very long time.
But then when you get through the first performance, your confidence grows with each performance.
Absolutely. And it was my first staged Norma. I had done it in a concert, but never on a stage moving. And
You admire Callis.
I do.
Why is that? What is it about Callis?
You know, I would say beauty of voice, but it's not that, because it wasn't a particularly beautiful voice per se. But what she could do with it and how she could express emotion. And that for me is the biggest thing about singing, because when you have emotion in your voice and when you use that, that is what goes right here to the audience members. You know, it touches their soul. And that's what she always did. You listen to it and you just go, wow, that is like, for me, a masterclass in not just singing, but opera. And
you said that she was not afraid to sound ugly.
Yes. And I learned a lot from that, because especially in this Devereux, you probably heard a few of those moments where, there are some ugly sounds. But it's because the character calls for it. When she's screaming at Roberto Devereux that you're going to die, I hate you, you don't love me, you're not going to go, oh, you're going to die. And it's, you know, in here, I'm going to eat you. And you have to be willing to go for it. And that's what I really always admired about her.
Norma, you told the New York Times that Norma's a perfect role for you.
Yes.
Why is that?
Acting, temperament, vocally, I really feel like it fits me like a glove, because it requires everything from a singer. And it's a real challenge, and I like challenges. Every time I walk on stage, I push myself to sing higher and softer, or you know, louder on the bottom. And I don't know, it just feels to me, you know, when you just see something or you see a movie and you go, oh, that was nice. And that's what I feel like when I sing it. I just feel comfy. Comfy singing Norma. Slightly crazy, but...
We talked about this a little bit earlier, but that was your first bel canto at the Met, right?
Yes. They had never heard me sing anything even remotely like it.
And earlier in your career, you became known as an interpreter of Verdi.
Yes.
So what, you mentioned the role of your instructor, your teacher.
Yes.
But what was it that made you believe, this is a shift that I want to try and make now?
Well, once again, I say I like these challenges. But I think after the surgery that I had on my vocal cord, it allowed me more freedom vocally. It allowed me to be able to play with my voice more, because I wasn't impeded. I didn't have what I call the speed bump right in the middle of my vocal cord, really limiting my technique. I had to learn how to sing with it, and then I had to learn how to sing without it again. And it really made me work on my technique and made my technique really solid. And because of that, it allowed me to do things that I could never do before. And I think that's why Norma was the obvious choice for me to try, because it was almost like my true voice now came out. Before I had to manipulate my voice in a way, and then this was, wow, I have a vocal freedom, and it was uplifting.
People love your Verdi recording with Radvanovsky.
Yes.
When you first met him, he thought you hated him.
Yes.
What happened?
I was singing at the Met, and here is this man who, okay, my husband's in the back, but he knows about my operatic crushes and my Formula One crushes. And Dmitri Radvanovsky might have been my operatic crush. So here's this guy with his mane of gray hair, handsome as all can be, and walks up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Dmitri. Your performance was really wonderful." And I looked at him and said, "Thank you," and I walked away.
Because you were nervous?
Well, he's Dmitri Radvanovsky. I mean, come on. And I was a younger, and he thought that I hated him. Yeah, so
how did you correct that?
Well, I didn't. He did. I got a phone call with him inviting me to sing a concert with him in Russia, which another soprano canceled at the last minute, Romanian, black hair. Don't need to mention a name. And yeah, so she canceled it at the last minute, and I just happened to be free, and I'd never been to Russia. And he said, oh, by the way, once I get to Russia, oh, by the way, we're making a DVD and a CD of it. Okay, hi, I'm Sondra. Yeah. But it was funny. We had this instant chemistry, like we had known each other for years and years and years, and he's a big goofball. And I'm a big goofball too. So it was a blast. We were, when we weren't laughing and we were singing, and then we were laughing and joking around again, and it was a lot of fun.
Didn't you get up to goofball stuff on stage together? Were you doing lots of?
How do you know all this?
Asked around.
Oh yeah. To meet, as I said, he's a big goofball, and we have sung together a lot. We did a lot of trovatores, and one day in our big duet, the baritone soprano duet, where he's trying to woo me and take me away, and he on his eyelids painted eyes. And I'm singing away. He's singing to me, and his eyes were like this. I thought, why are your eyes like that? I didn't say anything because he can't say anything. And then I'm singing, and my, and he just does this. And, I start, I was laughing, and then what did he do? He drew a big heart on his chest, and he just whipped it out, and he was facing upstage, so nobody in the audience could see it, but only me, and I'm like, oh, come on. So when I died, I might have wrote, I heart Dimitri on my hand and just held it up as I'm dying and just went like that. We've done it. We're bad. We're so bad. Yeah. And he would tickle me, and terrible.
I heard you say earlier today that after your performance on Tuesday night, you're up till 3:30 a.m.
Yes.
Is that because you have so much energy after you've performed? Is there a buzz that continues to go through you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And especially when it's an exciting show. Like Tuesday night was really exciting. We were all the cast, we were like, yeah, let's go get it. Urgh. And then we went to dinner afterwards, and then we have to drive home to Caledon, and and you get home, you're like, yeah, great. And then it's like somebody pulls the plug on you, and it's adrenaline drop in my. Yeah, but 3:30, it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different, it's just a shift. So today's singing at 96.3 at 1 in the afternoon. Oof. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
You're an American who longs to be Canadian.
Yes.
Why?
I love Canada. I really do. Go Canada. Yay. Yeah, I will always be American because I was born there. My mother's there. But I married a Canadian gentleman, and we flipped a coin again, U.S., do we live in the U.S., do we live in Canada? And the first year we were married, actually, I was in New York and he was here. But every time I came up here, I thought, wow, it's so civilized and the people are so nice. Why is everyone so nice? But then I found out it's just the way Canadians are, and we say sorry all the time. And I just really fell in love with it and really wanted to make this our home. And we are applying for Canadian citizenship now.
That's great.
Yay, finally, after 13 years, because I think we found a way to get it. Because to become a Canadian citizen, you have to be here 3 years out of a 5-year period.
Right.
And when we're home 1 or 2 months out of a year, that's not going to happen. But I think we might, hopefully, have a way to do that.
So 5 more performances, Roberto Devereux,
Yes.
but then you have an engagement with the Toronto Symphony, and you are singing Strauss.
Yes.
Doing the 4 last songs.
Yes.
Have you sung Strauss before?
Not this Strauss. I sang the other Strauss. I sang Fledermaus, but not the serious Strauss.
Right.
No, and in fact, I've only done a few German roles. I only did Freya and Getruna, the Wagner roles.
So is this, are you trying something out here?
Yes, this is an experiment, because a lot of people have hinted that maybe I'd be good at German repertoire, and
People are gasping in the audience. Why is that? Do you think that's a mistake, audience? Is that what you're thinking here? Or
hands up for who thinks I should do it.
Who thinks that Sondra should do German?
Yeah, okay. Who thinks I shouldn't? Oh.
So lots of votes of confidence.
I know. I need them. Thank you. I'm
But
scared.
the operas that you have booked through 2018, does any of them represent that repertoire? No. Okay.
No, not yet. I was offered a German opera, but said no. No, not yet. I don't speak German. I speak Italian. And German, especially German operas, are so conversational. It's like if we were having this conversation and you were speaking in Russian and I was speaking in English. It would be very one-sided. So it involves a lot more work for me with the language and working on the language and all of that. But I'm not sure if it's a risk I want to take or not yet. So, but the four last songs are gloriously beautiful. I mean, the music, I love German music. I really do. It's not that I don't love it. It's just that it's a lot more work for me. And I'm not sure. You know, the Italian music is so great. So we'll see.
Will we see you on stage again at the COC?
Yes. Can't say what.
Fantastic, though. Great.
Yes. Not German. Not German music. It'll be more Italian. Sorry.
Before you go on stage, you say a prayer to your father.
I do. Oh, you're going to get me all teary again.
Why is that?
I found my father dead when I was 18 years old, and he never got to hear me sing. So, I always feel like he's my little guardian angel, and he protects me except when I fall. Yeah, so I always say a little prayer, and I don't ask him, for me to sing wonderfully. I ask him to allow me to do the best I can do tonight or today or whatever. Just allow me to do the best that I can do right now.
He's doing a good job.
I got a pretty good guardian angel, I think.
I would say so.
Yeah, I got a few others up there too now, but yeah, I'm pretty lucky.
Sondra Radvanovsky, thank you for talking.
Oh, you make me cry.
Fantastic. No,
Thank
you're
you.
so great. I'm
Thank
such
you.
a fan.
Oh. Yay. Thank you. Oh. That was fun.
Good. You're so
Thank
great.
you.
And
No,
thank
you're
you for
wonderful.
being.
Oh.
Now we're going to go to the audience and see if the.
Sure.
So, audience, it's up to you now. Do you have some questions? I'm sure you do. We have a microphone for you here. Don't be shy.
Yeah. No questions.
We'll be first. Oh no, we just have to break the dam. I know that there.
Oh yeah. Somebody wants to ask.
No one wants to go first. It's like opening night. You see?
I know. It's very scary, but come on.
Hi. Do you want to go to the microphone so we can hear you? And I'm just going to ask you to keep the preamble short so that you can get to the question. And but go ahead. Yes.
I don't have a, it's loud.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I was one of the fortunate people that was there on Friday evening for the opening performance. Yeah. It was magical. Thank you. And I've been going to the opera for seasons for years, and I think I said to somebody that called me today, and I said, it had to have been one of the best evenings we've had in years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi there.
I actually have two questions.
Okay.
First question is, are there any roles still on your bucket list?
Yes. Are there any roles still on my bucket list? Forza del Destino, Pique Dame, Turandot, and then all those angry women, Macbeth, Attila, Nabucco, Fanciulla del Vest, dying to do that. Andrea Chenier. A lot of these I have coming up too, so I'm very lucky. I get to sing all the music that I love. Number two?
How do you feel about directors who try to reimagine productions in a modern time?
Oh, if I had $1 for every time I was asked that question. You asked about modern productions and how do I feel about it. Well, nowadays it's pretty much unavoidable. Especially in Germany and places like that. I have learned to ask who the directors are of the new productions that I'm doing because I was burned once. And listen, it's unavoidable, like I said. But if it's relevant to the plot and makes sense, then I will try my best to make it make sense. But if it doesn't make sense, then you have to have a discussion with the director and say, listen, this is not working for me. And the Maria Stuart I did actually was, it was very difficult.
So what were you able to have changed?
At that point, nothing, yeah. And I cried, actually.
Oh.
He made me look ugly. And I actually stopped the rehearsal, the dress rehearsal. I look ugly. Oh, I did. I looked like something out of the movie The Aliens, truly. The hair was, you know, back here, and it was all powdered white. And sometimes, you know, people criticize us, the singers, for accepting these new productions. But oftentimes, we don't know anything about it. They don't tell us anything. We're just contracted to do a job, and they don't tell you who the conductor is or who the director is or if it's going to be this new production. We don't know that, and then we're the ones that are criticized, and it's not necessarily our fault. But I agree with you. I think more traditional productions often make more sense. But modernizing a bit is not bad, but you know, with toilets on stage, come on. I mean.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. Thank you for all the insightful things you said today, because to me as a young vocalist, they were really helpful. I was wondering if you could give any advice in terms of auditioning for colleges.
Oh, boy. You know what? I'm glad that I'm sitting here and I'm not there. The opera world has changed so much in the last 10 years, really. Advice for auditioning for colleges. You know what? Sing what you love. Don't let somebody else tell you, oh, you're this type of voice, you should sing this. Sing what you really feel in here, and the audience or whoever you're singing for is going to feel it. Because if I had, once again, $1 for every time someone said, oh, no, but you should sing Mozart. Yeah, no, not for me. I love listening to Mozart. I could sing Mozart, but I don't feel it in here when I sing it. So be true to yourself. Don't let other people sway your opinions, and sing what you love, honestly.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hello, I was also present at that magical evening on Friday, and I absolutely agree this was one of the best evenings of many seasons.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
My question is, today I listened also to you, the 96.3 performance, and you sang some Russian songs. And what is the connection, the Russian connection in your background, your father?
Yes, my father. He was Czech, and his mother, they say, came from Russia. Mm-hmm. So all of the Russian music just really, as I said to her, touches my soul.
You grew up with Russian music?
Yeah, and Czech music too. I've sung Rusalka, and I really love Dvorak and all of that. It's what remember what I said. The music that came very easily to me was all that sad, languid music.
Rusalka?
Oh, love Rusalka. I love singing it. Yeah.
And the other question is then about your husband. Is he Canadian citizen, or both of you are becoming Canadian citizens?
No, he is a Canadian citizen and also British citizen. So he's the reason why I'm here. Yay, thank you.
You're booked till 2018, but I hope we are around
It'll
to
be
hear
before
more of you.
2018 that I'm back, I promise. Yes.
Hi.
Hi there.
Oh, hi, I'm such a big fan of you, and I spent a lot of time listening to broadcasts from the Met and Live in HD and things like that. Yay. So it's really exciting and a little bit surreal to be talking to you, but
I don't bite.
That's fantastic. I'm another aspiring singer as well, aspiring baritone, and I was always wondering to myself what will make me stand out, and I know it's different for everybody, but I was wondering for you personally, what do you think makes you stand out as an individual, as a singer or as a soprano?
You know, that's a very good question, and he asked what makes me stand out, or what can he do to make him stand out? And I had a voice teacher, one of my first voice teachers, Martial Senguer, a French baritone, lyric baritone, and he said to me, if you're going to be a soprano, you have to be the very best soprano you can be. And you have to find what makes you different than you or you or you. And you have to work on that, because there's 40 gajillion million sopranos in the world, as there are baritones. So you have to find what you do better than any other baritone. And I found what I did was singing high and soft and all of that floaty stuff. And also that I have a very large instrument that I can pare down to very small and very soft. And I'm not going to say it's a trick because I worked very hard to get that. But that really is what I found works for me. So you have to go out and find, okay, do you sing Mozart better than anyone else? Or is your coloratura better than anyone else? Or do you sing those long lines like Dmitri of Radvanovsky? He figured out what he did better than anyone else. He never breathes. The guy can sing for like 5 pages. And he's turning a few shades of red, but he can turn those lines. And that's what people will go, oh yes, Dmitri, long lines. So you have to find that thing that makes you, And it's not easy, trust me. And it takes a while, but keep working at it because it's really worth it. And as long as you love what you're doing, it's worth it.
Great, thank you so much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Sondra. I was also at Tuesday's performance of Roberto Devereux, and I just loved your performance. It was just lovely. And it was actually the second time that I had seen you. The first time was 2 years ago at Roy Thompson Hall with the Symphony Orchestra.
The Onegin.
Yes, and I was sitting just a few seats away from you on that night, so it was quite lovely just to hear you.
See my tonsils when I was singing?
Yeah. Very good. Now, I have a question that might be sacrilegious to all the opera purists.
Okay.
And it's this. After having attended opera performances for the last 4 or 5 years at the Four Seasons Center of Performing Arts, I've concluded that perhaps opera singers should be mic'd and amplified. Because I have found that at performances, you're blessed with a lovely voice. You fill the opera hall.
Yeah.
Other people have a challenge doing that, and they have a challenge singing above the orchestra. And I find when you're listening to a performance, there's an unevenness in the volume and in the loudness of the performances. And some people can fill the hall, others not quite so much, some are faint, and so forth. And I've concluded that I think it would be wonderful for the voices to be amplified and mic'd, and what you're doing is simply evening out the loudness level, but you're still preserving the characteristics of the voice.
Next question. My publicist taught me, that you don't have to answer all questions.
I mean, sir,
I've gone to musicals, and I've gone.
Radio, you're putting an awful lot of pressure and trust in a sound person if you do that.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're taking some power away from the singers then, but go ahead.
Well, I will say, listen, opera is opera. They didn't have to be mic'd 100 years ago. Why do they have to be mic'd now?
Well, the
Is it
theaters
because
are so much larger.
The voices are changing? Are the opera houses bigger? Are the people singing the wrong music? I don't know. It's a very loaded question. And I honestly you've had me stumped because because I don't need a microphone.
You definitely don't.
And thank God, So I don't think it's fair that if I don't need one, why would other people need it? You know what I mean? And if they do need a microphone, then maybe they should go sing musical theater. That would maybe be my answer, but I'm going to stop there before I perjure myself anymore, because I completely disagree with it. And if once you start using microphones, then how else are we going to change opera? Because opera has always been based on the power and the beauty of the human voice naturally. So
Good answer.
And where will it go from there?
Would you be willing to try it at one time if somebody was offered to you?
Well, I think we have an answer to that question now.
As an ensemble, not that you would need it, but
well,
as an ensemble, if the director and the production.
Yeah, no.
But every time there's a broadcast, there is some miking of the singing going on. So you were mic'd today when you did your broadcast
Right.
at 93.
But I will tell you, and this is very technical, when the voice is not heard live, when it is compressed to be put through, as you know, a radio person, compressed to be put through a microphone and radio waves, it's not the true voice. I'm sorry, and the human voice for me is a visceral feeling. It's not just the sound of it, but it's the feeling that you get when it hits you here. So with a microphone, it's not natural. It's not.
You're getting some natural voice. They're still singing.
Okay, no, I think we've dealt with your questions here, but thank you very much. And I want to tell the audience something. If you want to experience, no, I think we're done, but thank you.
Thank you. It
Right.
has been, I will say, New York City Opera, because it was made as a ballet theater, not as an opera theater. They do naturally enhance the voices because.
What happened to the New York City Opera?
And it's gone.
It's gone. So.
Thank you. Sorry. No.
Now, if you want to experience the visceral emotion that we were just talking about, that Sondra just explained to us, and you haven't seen Roberto Devereux yet, we have an opportunity for you to get tickets at 15% discount. That's at the table back there. And I encourage you, even if you've already seen it, to see it again, because
each show is different, I will say. I do, and I purposely do different things every show to see if you're paying attention.
But we also have a pair of free tickets to give away to a performance right now. And I hope you've all entered, because these are the ballots. And Sondra, would you, we have a couple more ballots?
A few more?
You want to just?
Get them in, get them in, get them in.
Get it all in quickly?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
I'm not going to look. Put them in, put them in. Few more.
All right.
Thank you.
Are we sure people aren't entering twice?
Yeah. I would.
Cooking the books here, are they? See, Canadians appear to be polite, but they're actually devious.
Oh, is that
I want to reconsider that.
I'm learning more and more.
All right, here we have all of the entries now, and Sondra is going to choose a winner.
Ready? Rhoda Sion? Is that right?
Rhoda, congratulations. Yay! Oh, that's so great.
Did I say your name right? Sion, did I say your name right? I have to shake her hand?
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And come backstage and say hello, please, if we can put her name on the backstage list.
Wow, I didn't know there was a backstage passing.
Oh.
Great.
Yeah, that's you can tell them that I said that, okay? Enjoy it.
Audience, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Once again, Sondra Radvanovsky, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You're so fantastic.